Someone is famous for saying, I will never let schooling get in the way of my education. Is schooling the process of acquiring,
No.
in some cases, insignificant achievements that actually don't mean anything other than the fact that you are imitating the needs of the system better than someone else? It doesn't necessarily mean that you are actually thinking. Your
Yes,
ability to regurgitate is
that's
far more
true.
valuable than your ability to think.
Yeah,
So the question, let me ask you, Khomotsa,
sure.
why do you think, who benefits? Let me rephrase the question slightly, is who benefits from learners thinking that they succeed through imitation?
The teachers, I get good results, therefore I'm one of the best.
And the teachers are accountable to the administrators. The
Yep.
administrators are accountable to the politicians, and the politicians are accountable to industry, and industry is accountable to profit. It makes sense. It
It
makes
does.
sense.
Yeah,
For
it does.
profit,
It
for
does.
profit, for profit to maintain itself, it requires a government that will set policies and systems that will keep it in place, right?
Yeah.
That requires a schooling system that requires labor, and labor requires somebody to regurgitate and
Yeah.
be a machine in the system, right? So what we have to do as teachers is
True.
flip that to reward those that disrupt the classroom,
Mm.
to reward those that give us a different perspective. I'm not saying disrupt for disruption, but if someone's disrupting something that will create a deeper conversation in the classroom, a deeper learning opportunity in the classroom or
Yeah.
in the school, that is healthy disruption, that is good trouble. But if we are only rewarding those that can regurgitate, we are creating a false sense of humanity for all of us.
We keeping up with the profit
We are,
and produce. Yeah. I
yeah.
think I had this conversation with Lesang, I think last night or 2 nights ago, that like more in most schools, the way we're teaching like it's in the production line.
Mhm.
Maybe in the fort, like you come to painting, they put engine, wheels, windows, you finish, then they drive. And it's
Mhm.
not like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not like that.
We
But
create.
then what and how do we then get those teachers who are willing to disrupt positively so to reward them? And how do we not reward to encourage them? Because I work in a school, Aaron. I work in a school. In my school, 1 2 is expected.
Mhm.
And as
Mhm.
such, if I go the other way, I might not get the results that I expected from me. And in that case, my job will be on the line. How do we then get those teachers to prepare our kids full on for their future positions, for their future lives, not just for now?
So there are two key strategies I can share. There are many.
Yeah.
I'm going to share the work of Gloria Ladson Billings. She wrote a book called The Dream Keepers,
Yeah.
and the work of Lisa Delpit, who wrote a book called Other People's Children.
Sure.
Okay, so there are two things that I tell teachers, and part of my for some context, part of my life story is being an adjunct professor and teaching pre-service teachers. Okay, so this is the same question they would ask me. This is the answer I would give them.
Okay.
Number one, how you teach is where your job comes in. There are many ways to get to the same answer,
Yeah.
but it's the pedagogy of how you teach someone something that ensures that the learning stays within their bodies, not just in their minds,
No mind.
right?
Yeah.
So, what I say to teachers is make sure that your students pass the test,
Okay.
but don't make them test takers.
Yeah.
Don't make them think that that's what education is about, because it's not. So find those opportunities to make that content come alive. Spread their awareness that
Sure.
the test is not an indication of the only way to do something, the only way to get to that answer. So I teach them that so one strategy is to teach them at least 3 different ways of getting to the same answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? 3 different ways or 2 different ways of getting to the same conclusion so that they can understand that there's more than one, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is teach the students the hidden rules of the dominant culture. This is Lisa Delpit.
Yeah.
Teach the student the fact that those tests are based on assumptions about them. The test is created with somebody in mind. Most of the time, that person looks like me, Khomatso.
Sure.
But it's given to somebody, and if I may be so bold as to say, that looks like you, Khomatso.
True.
So it's almost like I'm expecting, as a teacher, I'm expecting you to know everything about me. But when I take the test, everything in the test, I don't have to shift anything in my mind. I don't need double consciousness. I can just go in there and take the test. So as a teacher, you need to bridge that gap for the student, to teach them the hidden rules of culture embedded in there. At the same time, you need to affirm their culture, their language, their identity.
Sure.
The deeper you can deepen their identity. This is the key thing here. Let me make this concrete if I can, Khomatso.
Sure.
I had a mom come to me once, and this is in Texas, right? She said, Warren, I don't know what to do because I want my child to speak Spanish. Okay. But I also want them to learn English, because if they don't learn English, they will not succeed in life.
True.
But every time at home, when I try and teach my child Spanish, we have a fight. And you know what? They've begun to only speak English to me. I speak Spanish to them. They understand me. They reply to me in English, and I don't know what to do. So here is the dilemma of a teacher. We have a test here. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what I told this lady. Do you understand that language is connected to culture? Sure. You cannot understand a language unless you understand a culture that the language is embedded in. So how are you celebrating the culture? How are you celebrating your own culture in your house? How are you making your culture something that is embedded inside the child? Because once the culture is embedded inside the child, the language has something to connect itself to. English, they are embedded in a dominant white culture, and they have so many words to connect to the different things around them. In your home, you have to create those spaces. And secondly, and something I said to the mom is, do not it's funny, you reprimand your child when they make mistakes in English, but you praise them when they make mistakes in Spanish. Excuse me, opposite way around. You reprimand them when they make mistakes in Spanish, but you praise them when they make mistakes in English. What message are you sharing with them deep down about themselves?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Yeah. So as teachers, we have to do the same thing. We have to embed the love for culture, the love for who they are as human beings, and then help them make those connections to the dominant culture so that they can live in both worlds successfully.
The first, yeah.